What if the constant advice to be available, to be open, to show them your heart, is precisely what robs you of their attention? Consider this. Ignoring them isn't rude, it's strategic. When you withdraw your gaze, they lean in. When you quiet your voice, they strain to hear. That is the fundamental reversal they don't want you to understand. They'll tell you connection requires constant communication. But connection, real connection, is built on scarcity. It is not the abundance of words that commands loyalty. It's the precision of when to withhold them. You believe availability is love, that transparency is trust. But showing everything is surrender. Exposure is weakness. A man who reveals every thought becomes predictable, and predictability is death to power. Machiavelli himself wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." But even fear is crafted in silence. A prince who speaks less is harder to judge, harder to read. His silence invites imagination that does half the work for him. Look at the modern world. The need to be seen is sold as authenticity. But who profits from your constant exposure? Social media companies, employers who demand your personal brand, lovers who want reassurance at every moment. They demand you narrate your inner world so they can control it. The more they know, the more they expect. And when you refuse, they call you cold, distant, manipulative. Yes, because mystery is power. And the man who can sit in silence while others demand words is the one who controls the frame. They'll call this cruel. But think about history. Consider Caesar, who held his counsel behind closed doors, letting the Senate guess his intentions. Or the Renaissance mercenaries who spoke in riddles to keep alliances off balance. Silence wasn't passivity. It was weaponized. Every pause loaded with meaning. Every missing word a calculated threat. When you ignore their questions, you don't lose influence, you gain it. Why does ignoring them work? Because people are addicted to validation. They assume attention is love. So when you stop feeding them, they starve. Their minds spiral. They replay your last words. They assign motives you never voiced. They become authors of their own torment. And you remain calm, controlled, watching. The one who can ignore is the one who doesn't need, and the neediness is the scent of prey. Power doesn't beg, it waits. They say communication is key, but they don't tell you which kind. Flooding them with access, or measuring it like gold. Silence is not the absence of communication, it is the most precise form. It forces them to do the work, to interpret, to imagine, to project. And projection is the most intimate form of persuasion. When they can't see your thoughts, they fill them in with their fears, their desires. You become a mirror, reflecting their own obsession back at them. Understand this trap. The more you speak, the more they categorize you. The more they believe they know you, the less they value you. Familiarity breeds contempt because humans are wired to hunt mystery, to solve puzzles, to win the unavailable. When you are always present, you remove the game, and without the game, there is no desire. So your availability is not generosity, it is self-sabotage. It kills curiosity at the root. Think of the general who stands silent before battle, his soldiers watching for any clue. Think of the lover who replies slowly, letting anticipation do the seduction. The leader who lets his rivals speak first, wasting their strategy while he listens. Silence is not emptiness, it is strategy. It creates space for others to reveal themselves while you remain unreadable. And being unreadable is not weakness, it is invulnerability. They will test you. When you begin to ignore, they will provoke. They will accuse you of arrogance. They will try to shame you back into visibility because your silence unsettles them. It deprives them of control, and nothing enrages the insecure more than losing control. When you ignore them, you break the cycle of their validation addiction, and addiction hates sobriety. So they will call you cruel, toxic, manipulative. Let them. Those are the words of the desperate, trying to pull you back into their game. You must resist. You must learn to love the discomfort of being misunderstood, to accept the tension of being the question they can't answer. Because power lives there in the unanswered, in the unexplained. The man who ignores is not a coward, he is a strategist. He knows his silence is a currency that gains value the less he spends it. They will watch you in silence, pretending they don't care, but watch their eyes, the flicker of doubt, the tightening jaw. Silence makes them face themselves. It strips away the performance. When you ignore their drama, you deny them an audience. And what is theater without applause? It dies. People crave reaction because reaction validates them. Your anger, your need, your words. They prove you care. But when you offer nothing, you force them to question if they ever had power over you at all. This is why indifference is so threatening. It isn't that you hate them. Hatred is a gift. It's proof you're emotionally invested. But when you're indifferent, you show them they're replaceable, unremarkable, that the world keeps turning whether they're here or not. Nothing terrifies the human ego more than being ordinary. When you ignore them, you sentence them to their own insignificance. Think of the wolf, waiting in the dark tree line, eyes glinting but silent. The herd senses danger but can't see it. That's the power of ignoring. It forces them to imagine what you might do, and their imagination will always be more terrifying than your words. They will obsess over your silence because it's a canvas for their fear. Machiavelli understood this deeply. He wrote, "Men judge more by the eye than by the hand, for all can see but few can feel." When you act with restraint, you force them to watch you carefully, to interpret every movement. Their judgment, their fear, it becomes the leash you hold. But you must understand, this is not about childish games. It is not ghosting for pleasure or petty revenge. True ignoring is disciplined. It is the art of selective engagement. You speak when it matters. You choose your moments. And when you do speak, your words land with the weight of rarity. Scarcity breeds value. A man who talks constantly becomes background noise. But the man who is silent until necessary, he turns every sentence into prophecy. Modern culture despises this. It demands constant access, scene zones, read receipts, instant replies. They call it intimacy, but it is surveillance. It is a subtle prison where your worth is measured in response time. When you refuse to play, you shatter their expectations. You show them you are not a commodity to be consumed on demand. You become the one thing the world cannot control, unpredictable. And unpredictability is power. Consider negotiations. The man who can sit in silence at the table forces the other side to fill the void. They reveal more than they planned. They offer terms they didn't want to give. Because silence is unbearable to the untrained. They want resolution, closure, certainty, and you deny them that. You let them sweat. You watch as their own impatience betrays them. This is strategy. This is art. When you begin to practice this, people will notice. They will adjust. Some will withdraw, unable to handle the uncertainty you radiate. Good. Let them go. They were never allies, only parasites feeding on your emotional compliance. Others will stay, but they will adapt. They will respect your boundaries. They will speak carefully, knowing they can't predict you, and respect born of uncertainty is the foundation of influence. But make no mistake, it will cost you. You will lose the comfort of being liked by everyone. You will be called distant, aloof, even cruel. You must be willing to endure it, because true power is not for the man who needs approval. Approval is dependence in disguise. It is surrender with a smile. The man who ignores, who withholds, who chooses his words and his silences, he is free, free from the tyranny of others' expectations, free to move unseen, unhindered. When you ignore them, you do not lose them. You force them to decide if they want to stay on your terms. You make them choose to respect your value, and if they don't, they were never yours. They were only borrowing you as a source of comfort. Machiavelli would tell you, better an honest enemy than a false friend. Better to know who recoils at your silence than to be surrounded by those who smile at your words and plot at your back. So ignore wisely, ignore with purpose. Make them work for your attention. Make them prove they deserve your words. Because when you start ignoring them, they start obsessing. Not because you are cruel, but because you are rare. And rarity is irresistible to those who cannot master themselves. They will try to bait you back. Watch how quickly the tone changes when your silence holds. First, they question you, why so quiet? Then they accuse you, who do you think you are? And when that fails, they flatter you. They'll offer sweetness to break your stance, because kindness can be a more effective leash than threats. Understand this game. Their goal is to pull you back onto their stage, where they can see you, read you, predict you, because as long as you're speaking, they are safe. Your silence is dangerous precisely because it makes them do the work. They must guess your motives. They must question their own, and humans hate uncertainty more than they hate cruelty. Certainty is comfortable, even if it's painful. But uncertainty forces introspection. It holds up a mirror they cannot look away from, and when you give them no answers, they must create their own. That creation is obsession. Look at the lovers who pine for the one who grew distant, the employees who work harder for the boss who is impossible to please, the crowds who worship the celebrity who remains aloof. These are not accidents. They are the predictable results of a principle as old as time. Scarcity drives value, not words, not openness, not availability. Scarcity. What is rare becomes precious. What is always there becomes invisible. This is why you must be deliberate. Silence is not absence. It is an active presence. It is choosing to speak only when the words will land like thunder. Anyone can shout in a storm and go unheard. The wise man waits for silence, then whispers so all lean in. That is the essence of power communication. It is not volume but timing, not abundance but precision. Machiavelli would remind you that power is perception. The prince who controls the story controls the state. But what is the most effective form of storytelling? It is not the tale you tell, but the one you force others to tell themselves. Your silence becomes their canvas. They paint their fears, their hopes, their regrets onto you. And in that act, you become necessary. You haunt them because they cannot pin you down. Consider the lion who does not roar, the general who does not announce his plans, the monarch whose smile gives nothing away. Their strength is not in words, but in the absence of them. An absence that demands respect, even fear, because people know. The one who says less is usually thinking more, and thought is dangerous. You will be tempted to break, to explain yourself, to clarify your intentions. Don't. Explanation is surrender. It is handing them the map to your mind. Let them wander, lost in your silence. Let them question every memory of you. The one who can endure being misunderstood is the one who cannot be controlled. This is not cruelty for cruelty's sake. It is discipline. It is refusing to be reduced to something they can consume at will. It is the art of being sovereign over your own presence. When you speak rarely, your words gain weight. When you appear seldom, your presence gains gravity. You are no longer a man, they see a monument, a force, something to be respected, even if they do not understand it. Especially if they do not understand it. They will ask why you changed, why you're so cold. Let them ask. You owe them nothing. The moment you start explaining is the moment you become predictable again. Predictability is death to power. They can plan for the man they understand. They cannot plan for the man who reveals nothing. So learn to savor their confusion. Watch them stumble to interpret you. Let them tell others they don't know what you're thinking. Good. That uncertainty is your shield. It is the fog that hides your strategy. It is the silence in which you plan without interference. The world will tell you communication is connection, but they mean submission. They mean you should hand over your mind for their inspection. They mean they want access so they can use it. True connection is not constant access. It is earned understanding, and the one who makes them earn it becomes invaluable. When you start ignoring them, you teach them how to treat you. You teach them you are not to be summoned with a text. You are not available at the snap of fingers. You are a man with boundaries, and boundaries create desire. They are the walls that turn a house into a fortress. So be the fortress, be the unbreachable mind. Let them circle your walls, trying to find a door that doesn't exist. And when you choose to lower the drawbridge, do so on your terms, at your timing. That is power. That is respect enforced without a word spoken. They will speak of vulnerability as if it is a virtue without limit. They will insist that to be close, you must bare your soul, remove your armor, lay your weapons down at their feet. But Machiavelli would warn you, nothing invites conquest more reliably than unguarded territory. The heart they can read is the heart they can break. The mind they can map is the mind they can manipulate. So you learn to show less, not because you fear them, but because you understand them. Because you see the truth. People don't want all of you. They want the version of you they can use. They want your openness only if it serves them, your transparency only if it comforts them. The moment your honesty unsettles them, they call you cruel. The moment your silence exposes their noise, they call you arrogant. Do not let their words trap you. Their accusations are confessions. They fear what they cannot control. Watch them squirm in the vacuum your silence creates. Watch how they fill it with apologies, confessions, promises, even threats. Silence is the mirror in which they see themselves clearly, and they will blame you for the reflection. Do not flinch, do not explain, hold the line. The moment you speak to comfort them is the moment you surrender the advantage. Let them feel the weight of their own words without your rescue. Consider the strategist who withholds plans until the last possible moment. He is not paralyzed, he is calculating. Every day of silence is a day of uncertainty for his rivals. Every unspoken intention is a battlefield they cannot prepare for. Your personal life is no different. When you stop explaining yourself, you deny them the weapons to use against you. It is not enough to be silent. You must be comfortable there. The world is addicted to noise, to endless justification. They will push you to fill the silence because they can't stand its power. Your job is to master it, to become as calm in silence as others are frantic in speech. That calm is unnerving. It signals you do not fear them. It forces them to question why. They will gossip about you, invent motives, spread rumors. Let them. Silence is not the defense of the guilty. It is the posture of the untouchable. Words can be twisted, silences cannot. The man who does not justify himself cannot be misquoted. He becomes an enigma, and an enigma is safe because it is unassailable. But understand, silence without strength is useless. You must be prepared to back your quiet with action. You cannot simply avoid conflict and call it strategy. The man who ignores must be the man who acts when necessary, who strikes cleanly, decisively, and without warning. Silence sets the stage for decisive action. It is not the refuge of the coward, but the preparation of the predator. Machiavelli said, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves." One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. Your silence is the fox watching, learning, recognizing dangers unseen. Your action is the lion, powerful, undeniable, leaving no question once it roars. Together they make you untouchable. Remember the dynamic. When you ignore them, they imagine you. They build a version of you in their minds, stronger, colder, more disciplined than you might even be. Let them. Their fantasy of your power becomes your real power. You do not need to convince them. They will do the work themselves. But this comes with a cost. You will lose those who cannot live without constant reassurance. Let them go. You will repel those who demand to know every thought. Good, your circle will shrink. But what remains will be solid. True loyalty is not purchased with constant access. It is earned through respect. And respect is born of mystery, of proven strength, of quiet certainty. Do not mourn what you lose. Mourn what you would have lost if you had stayed available to everyone. Your time, your focus, your self-respect. These are the currencies of kings, and they are wasted on those who see you as common. When you ignore them, you declare yourself uncommon. You declare your time precious, your presence valuable. Let them wonder why you don't answer right away. Let them check their phone twice. Let them feel the hollowness of waiting, because in that waiting, you teach them how to value you. And those who refuse to learn, they dismiss themselves. So hold your silence like a blade sheathed at your side. Not for show, not for vanity, but as a promise that you will not waste words on the unworthy. A promise that you will not break for the impatient. A promise that when you finally speak, it will be because you chose to, not because they demanded it. They will try to wear you down with their persistence, endless messages, emotional appeals, accusations dressed as concern, all designed to break the seal of your silence. This is their test, not of your words, but of your will. They want to know if you can be rattled, if you will yield your composure for their comfort. Because the man who cannot hold his silence cannot hold his ground, and the man who cannot hold his ground will kneel when it matters most. So you must remain unmoved. Understand their tactics for what they are, desperation cloaked in virtue. They will say you owe them your thoughts, your feelings, your explanations, but you owe them nothing. Respect is not granted to those who demand it like tribute. It is given to those who prove they can handle the weight of your truth, and many cannot. That is why you test them, not with cruelty, but with absence. They will accuse you of playing games, but they are the ones addicted to them. The game of validation, of emotional leverage, of endless commentary and counter-commentary. You refuse to play by refusing to speak. In that refusal, you reveal their dependency on your reaction. They hate that revelation, so they attack the one who revealed it. Do not flinch. Their anger is proof you struck the nerve. Silence is the fortress of the disciplined. Its walls are built of self-control. Its gate is locked with patience, and most people cannot storm it. They throw words like stones, hoping to crack your calm. But stones only hurt those who step outside the walls to answer them. Stay inside. Watch. Let them exhaust themselves against your silence. Consider the timeless value of mystery. The general who moves under cover of night. The monarch who never reveals his successor. The lover who writes fewer letters but with more weight. Mystery creates gravity. It slows time, turns every word into an event. The more they wonder, the more they wait. The longer they wait, the more they want. You cannot buy this kind of power. You can only refuse to squander it. Machiavelli would tell you, "He who builds on the people builds on mud." The applause of the crowd is fickle. The validation of the masses is worthless. They cheer the loudest for the one who gives them everything, but the moment he withholds, they revolt. So you learn not to feed them constantly. You ration your words, you choose your moments, because anything too accessible is cheap. The modern world hates this truth. It will push you to be constantly seen, online, in messages, in photos, available at every hour. They call it connection, but it is consumption. They do not want to know you, they want to devour you, to leave nothing unsaid, nothing unexplored, nothing sacred. And you must resist this cannibalism of the self. Hold something back, not for them, but for you. Your silence is your final territory, the land no one can colonize. It is the place you think, you plan, you remember who you are without their noise. To surrender, that is to surrender sovereignty. And a man without sovereignty is no man at all. He is a puppet of the loudest voice in the room. They will call you difficult. They will say you are closed off. Yes, you are closed to invasion. You are difficult to predict, difficult to use. And that is precisely why they will not forget you. Because while others melt into familiarity, you remain sharp in their memory. The unsolved problem, the closed door they dream of opening. But this is not about ego. It is about freedom. The freedom to choose when and how you engage. The freedom to set the terms of your interactions. The freedom to leave words unsaid because you know they would cost too much. Freedom is not given, it is taken through discipline. And so you learn to savor the quiet, to see the beauty in restraint, to feel the weight of your own thoughts without the need to spill them. The world may mock this as coldness, but you know better. It is warmth preserved for those who have earned it. Loyalty given only to those who have proven themselves. Words spent only on those who will not waste them. When you start ignoring them, you are not closing the door forever. You are closing it to test who will knock with respect, who will try to break it down, and who will walk away. You learn their character without saying a word. You separate the worthy from the worthless without lifting a finger. That is the silent strategy. That is the Machiavellian art. And now you see the final truth. Silence is not a pause in power. It is its purest form. Words can be copied, twisted, ignored. Silence cannot be refuted. It is the space where others reveal themselves, where their insecurities echo back at them. When you choose to be silent, you force them to speak first, to show their intentions, to stumble in their own urgency. The man who speaks less always knows more, because he listens while others confess. They will come to you with arguments prepared, insults sharpened. Let them speak. Let them hear their own desperation fill the room. Your silence is the judge they cannot sway. The more they try to provoke, the more they reveal. And in the end, they will fear you, not because you threatened them, but because they could not move you. Immovability is power. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." Silence is the tool that maintains that separation. It allows you to shape what they see while protecting what you are. It is the veil that guards your intentions, the armor no sword can pierce. While they scramble to interpret you, you remain untouched. But silence is not an end, it is a means, a weapon. It must be wielded with precision. You do not stay silent because you have nothing to say. You stay silent so when you speak, they listen. Your words are arrows, rare, sharp, undeniable. A man who speaks constantly dulls his own blades, but the one who waits, who chooses his moment, his words hit with lethal accuracy. Understand this balance. Too much silence, and they forget you. Too many words, and they dismiss you. The art is in knowing when to hold back and when to strike. When to deny them access and when to grant it like a gift. It is not cruelty, it is cultivation. You are not pushing them away to hurt them. You are forcing them to value you. This is the foundation of respect. Not fear alone, but recognition of your boundaries. The knowledge that you cannot be summoned at will, that your attention is earned, not owed, that you are a man who answers only to himself, and in a world that demands submission at every turn. This is rebellion of the highest order. They will call you arrogant. Let them. The world hates a man who refuses to kneel, who will not explain himself, who keeps part of himself inviolate, because he cannot be bought, he cannot be manipulated, he cannot be predicted. That is why they will gossip about you when you leave the room. That is why they will study your silences like scripture. That is why they will try so hard to make you break them. But you will not break, because you understand what they do not. That the man who ignores them is not the man who hates them, he is the man who masters them. Not through domination, but through discipline. Not through rage, but through restraint. The lion does not roar at every provocation. He watches, he waits, and when he moves, there is no doubt. You will lose people on this path. Let them go. The ones who demand constant access are not allies, but parasites. The ones who respect your silences are the ones worth keeping. They will learn to wait, to listen, to respect your timing, and in that space true connection will grow. Not forced, not frantic, but real. When you start ignoring them, you set the terms. You reclaim your time, your mind, yourself. You stop performing for those who would consume you, and you become something rare in this world. A man who cannot be moved by every whim and whine around him. A man who stands where others bend. So go, embrace the silence, let it teach you, let it test them. Watch who stays, watch who tries to break it, watch who flees, and understand you have learned the oldest lesson of power, that when you need nothing from them, they need everything from you. Because in the end, it is not hatred that drives obsession, it is mystery. And you are the mystery they cannot solve, the silence they cannot fill, the fortress they cannot breach. That is why when you start ignoring them, they start obsessing, not because you chased them away, but because you finally made them see you were never theirs to command. If you've listened this far, it's because something in you recognizes this truth. You're tired of being read too easily, tired of explaining yourself to those who don't deserve it. You feel the weight of every word you've wasted on people who only wanted access, not understanding. So now you choose something different. You choose silence. You choose strategy. You choose to become the man they can't predict, the one they can't dismiss, the one they can't forget. But know this path is not for everyone. It will cost you easy approval. It will cost you cheap connection. It will make you the villain in stories they tell to comfort themselves. Are you ready to be misunderstood? To have your silence called arrogance? To watch them obsess over what you won't give? This is the price of sovereignty. This is the tax on mystery. Because once you choose this path, there is no going back. You will see the world differently. You will see the traps in every demand for openness, the hunger in every plea for vulnerability. You will see how cheaply most people sell their privacy, their thoughts, their peace, just to be liked for another day. And you will not be able to join them again. But you will gain something rarer, respect that is real, words that are chosen, allies who value you because they had to earn you, enemies who think twice because they don't know what you'll do next, and a mind that is finally, blessedly your own. Ask yourself, who are you doing this for? Them or you? Because they will take everything you give until you choose to keep something for yourself. Let this be the day you choose. If this message resonates with you, if you're done explaining, done performing, done kneeling, tell me in the comments, I choose silence. Let's see how many here are ready to become unreadable, unpredictable, untouchable. And when you're ready to go even deeper into this art of strategic power, watch the next video, because this is only the beginning.